It's like my body is not giving me a chance.
Yeah, I know.
God made me that way. I don't like it.
Seeing a child that is not gaining weight, having feeding difficulties, sweats with feeds, as well as aspirating, oh my gosh, this child could have something really, really awful. And so that, at that point, is what started our journey of what does Soraya have?
Now I just feel like I don't get to have the life I want. It's like God's not listening to my wishes.
Dr. Tasha Faruqi's daughter Soraya is battling an illness doctors haven't been able to diagnose.
Initially, I did notice that she had some feeding difficulties because I breastfed. And I made a remark to the pediatrician in the hospital that I felt like she got a lot more tired than what I would expect. And since I had just finished my pediatric residency, I was kind of told like, oh, you're overanalyzing this. And fast forward to the 2-week appointment, I felt like she made a weird noise when she would swallow. Brought it up to the pediatrician. Again, I was told that I was kind of overanalyzing it. I could not get Soraya to take a bottle. Soraya would be force-fed a bottle at daycare and she wouldn't take any more. At that 4-month visit, she had really lost weight and she was called failure to thrive. I was told, oh boy, we need to up her calories. I went home, gave her some oatmeal. She made this awful noise that was like, ugh. And that voice and that noise is something that's called stridor. And at this point, I actually stopped asking and I said, I need a swallow study. Like something is not right. We got the swallow study. And when she took a drink from the bottle, it went down into her lungs, which is called aspiration. And not only did it go down into her lungs, but when she fed, she actually sweat. And so you could tell it was a lot of work for her. And 6 months is when she got her G-tube to help with nutrition.
9 specialists did testing on Soraya for 3 years.
And we did every test that was available at that time, including blood work, exome testing, spinal taps, looking for diseases of neurotransmitters. Things that I had never even heard of were tested for. Everything came back inconclusive. And the muscle biopsy was also inconclusive. It was like nothing was like completely normal, but nothing was completely a spot-on diagnosis. We wanted to do what we could to figure out what she had, not just to have a name, but in order to give us hope to be able to stop this process. But at the same time, she was gaining skills. She was talking, and we were really kind of getting used to life of having a child that had complex medical needs, but that was also moving along, talking, learning to read. And it became less important to have that name, knowing that our vision of what her future would look like would be even different than what we were expecting when we got the unexpected. Her life may look different than what you imagined. And so it's mourning this neurotypical child. It's learning to love this new child.
Although Soraya continued to grow, her mystery condition worsened. The family, who lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, eventually made a difficult decision.
As far as how we got to a place where Soraya is in hospice, around age 9 is when things started to take a turn. And what we knew about Soraya is everything was impacted as far as like vision, hearing, recurrent ear infections, difficulty feeding, recurrent pneumonias, poor growth. Fatigue became more apparent in the way that she walked. And from a medical standpoint, I knew at that point that there was muscle weakness, and this was new. So it was at that point that we got her started on a BiPAP ventilator. Now she's needing something to help her breathe. This doesn't sound good. Soraya was getting so tired that she had been ambulating before, but she said, I'm so tired, I think I need a wheelchair at school. So this was a huge change for a kid that has insight of knowing that other kids are going to be looking at her. And she was like, I just get tired. That time really started marking the beginning of a decline. In the adult world, when you're in hospice, the indication many times is a prognosis of 6 months or less. In the children's world, at least at our institution, you don't need to have a timeline of 6 months or less. It is more of there is no cure and things are declining.
Soraya has a variety of complex medical needs.
Her cognition is, I would say, low to normal IQ. Like, she has mild intellectual disability, but she does have insight. She can hold a conversation. She's very personable. Speech is a little bit delayed, but she is able to articulate.
I'm still learning. I'm only literally 12 years old and I need to learn more. And it's like, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose my family.
She does have impulsivity, so she's got symptoms of that. She's got difficulty eating.
Makes my mouth work hard.
She's got the G-tubes.
So this is what we put around my tube. You have these like powder and then it turns into a gel.
She had sensory issues. When Soraya moves around or if she does a lot of activity, her blood sugar drops. And that is something that is just unusual. With movement, her heart rate goes really high and her blood sugar drops. It's like her body is going through an extreme workout with very little work. A few years ago, her resting heart rate was 120. Currently, right now, it's 150. We don't know what she has, but we know that her body is really working hard to exist. Whereas before it was working hard to walk, to move, to keep up. She sweats really easily. She gets hot really easily. She's gotten real vocal about what she's unable to do, but she always tells us it's hard. So like with the shower, she sobbed and was like, I just can't do it.
My body's just not getting better and I just wish I could go outside.
Soraya has a set day-to-day schedule.
We wake her up in the morning and, she's on her ventilator. She is losing some of her head control. So it takes my husband and I to come and pick her up. We, give her medications, get her ready for the morning. We have a chairlift that brings her from her room downstairs. We have a wheelchair that goes from the chairlift to the breakfast table. She no longer has the strength to really feed herself, and she can only do soft foods.
Soraya, tell me what's happening.
My muscles are tightening.
And then she goes on her couch, and she stays on the couch until mealtime. And I think we're constantly thinking of things that can bring her joy from her couch. One of those things is we have a Christmas tree up year round, and we decorate it every month with a different theme because she stares at that all day.
Despite her difficulties, in many ways, Soraya is a typical 13-year-old.
We'll online shop. She likes to play Barbie dolls in the sense it's something she can do sitting. Her hands are too tired to color or draw. And we like listening to music all day. Music is everything. She is still a teen, so sometimes it's like, a couple months ago when she was eating macaroni, we told her one serving, and she's like, I'm gonna die sooner anyways, just give me more. So there's that. Or I want this app, and I'm gonna die soon, so when are you gonna have me wait?
Soraya is aware that her story is being shared publicly.
And why you actually want to share your story on Instagram.
It's because I've been bullied my whole life. I'm going through probably a lot, and my mom's not, forcing me to do things because she's a caring mom and she's asking me when I'm comfortable. If I'm not comfortable, it won't be posted.
It was something that we had a very big discussion about because I was very hesitant. But I will tell you that coming forward and sharing our story has really helped each of us in a very different and unique way. I think sharing our story shows her that there's power in your story, that there's power in allowing this to be a part of you. Fighting it off and pretending like it doesn't exist can be detrimental, can cause resentment, can cause anger. And so I think in that regard, it's been really helpful in formulating who she will be and how she wants to carry herself in the future. It is from the sense of community. It is from the thought that I'm helping somebody else. Because if I sit in my sadness without doing anything or sharing it, what is the purpose?
Thank you guys so much for 10,000 followers on my mom's Instagram page. That's actually insanity. I thank all of you for following along with our story.
Because Soraya is in hospice, Tasha deals with anticipatory grief.
How do you live when you know your child is dying? The question was, how does one live when they know that either they're going to die or their child is going to die or their loved one is going to die? Like, you have to maintain your own life, but you also have to acknowledge what's happening. And so that is where I started asking for resources. There was quite a bit on grief after someone dies, but I could not find anything about a parent having a child that was actively dying, but not like in the next 2 weeks, like for this like undefined amount of time.
Because she couldn't find resources, she created one. Writing the book, Keep Your Head Up, a mother's story of chasing joy in the face of grief.
I do feel like we can do something with this pain. We can choose to do something with this pain. I can sit with it and not do something with it, but I can still feel the pain and still try to give back, and that might help somebody else. And while I wrote it for others, the process of writing the book, I learned so much just from retelling the story in a different way. The sadness really was not in only losing Soraya, but it's losing a life that you had imagined. And what if you just got rid of that and just went where life took you and just took away some of that control? And I think that that was just like one of the themes that are in the book as well. But it talks about that process.
Tasha hopes that sharing her family's story helps others in similar situations.
If I lose my life, I don't want you to ever feel like you're not strong enough.
Okay. I won't.
If you're struggling, if you have a child that has an incurable disease, an undiagnosed disease, or if they have a disease that is any path different than neurotypical, know that many of these themes of what we're feeling are similar and that you're not alone. There's so many people struggling. There's so many people struggling with chronic illness. And while the story is not exactly the same, the themes of isolation are so evident. The themes of implicit bias, the themes of medical gaslighting, these things are present with a lot of people, and there is a sense of community in knowing that you're not alone.
And the Faruqis want to cherish every moment with Soraya.
For my family, they find purpose in being public. And I think that's also sometimes tricky for other people to understand, like, how can you put Soraya's life on display? And it's something that she's asked. She has asked for others to learn. Like, she's like, I want other people to not bully people because they're different. I want other people to see that disabilities are their superpower. And as a parent, I think many parents want to carry on their child's dream and help them succeed. I'm just trying to get her to succeed. And for success, it is to create the largest impact I can of kindness, of peace and harmony, of finding friendships where you least expect it, for walking around with an open heart, and for truly constantly reprioritizing what is important.
For more information on Tasha's book, visit tashafaruqi.com. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindle.